Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another episode of Foxborough Central. I am your host, Bob Hickey, and I thank you for taking the time to join with me and my guests as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. Now, when we think about Foxborough, you know, there's government, there's private, there's the fun stuff we do, and then there's business. But there's one organization of our town government that is perhaps a bit behind the scenes, but if you're paying attention, you actually do anything fun or community involved, there's a good chance this organization has touched that company, that organization, or maybe even you. Of course, I'm talking about the Foxborough Cultural Commission, and I am so pleased to be joined with, actually it's council, right?
Yep. Foxborough Cultural Council.
There you go, the Foxborough Cultural Council, and I'm joined by the co-chairs, Pam Atanasoff. How are you doing?
Hi, Bob.
And Jared Craig, how are you?
Great, thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for coming out and joining us because I love talking about town government. I'm a government junkie, and one of those commissions or councils, if you will, that perhaps gets less attention but is actually doing so much more behind the scenes that people don't even recognize is your team. So let's start off, Pam, at the beginning. What does the Foxborough Cultural Council do?
The Foxborough Cultural Council gets money from the state to hand out every year, which is really fun. We get to decide what grants that people apply for to approve, and they'll be on a variety of topics like arts and culture and sciences, nature we're trying to encourage more of, theater, of course, I can't forget. And I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay.
And our budget is somewhat limited, but
Are we
we're
talking
actually
$50 or are we talking a little bit
like
more than that?
$5,000.
Okay,
yeah.
so
yeah.
it's not small.
Yeah, so we'll end up like partially funding this past year about 16 grants, which we thought was better to spread it around and to support a lot of local organizations like Uncommon Theater and would you like to name a few?
Yeah, I'll put in a plug for the Foxborough High School Theater Guild because I'm one of the co-advisors for that. I was very excited that they applied this year. The students did it all themselves, and I'm such a strong. I have a theater background,
okay.
So I'm a strong, advocate for the theater. And with having the Orpheum downtown, that was one of the things that I was excited about coming onto the council was to bring that theatrical point of view and it inspires empathy to me. So I wanted to make sure that it was well represented.
You know, it's interesting when you look at people who participate in any of the committees in town government because there's no pay. You don't get paid to do this, correct?
Not at all.
But yet you have meetings, you do a lot of research, you do applications, you go through a whole process. You also create publicity events. One that comes to mind we hosted here on Foxborough Cable Access was the 2017
the grantee reception.
Because we're almost rolling up to the
First
2018,
annual.
right?
Yeah.
So the first annual, and that was done at the Doolittle home right here on the corner of Baker and Bird. And that was a great day, and a lot of people came out. And it was so cool to not only hear the breadth and scope of all the groups, either individuals who are doing unique things or teams and groups. Uncommon Theater you mentioned with their wonderful production of Les Miserables that just happened at the Orpheum Theater, but then also to have their team come out and sing the two pieces that they did. That just made it such a great event. So
yes.
I loved learning about and being introduced to the Foxborough Cultural Council. So I'm so excited to have you on the program because now we can talk about where you're going. But before we do that, how did you get interested in, I mentioned, people getting involved. I know how I got involved in town government, but what was your motivation? Was it just your theater background? And if it was, what is your theater background?
Sure. So I guess I'll talk about my theater background first. I had trained professionally at Boston University. They have a conservatory style program. Worked since graduating college and have traveled all over the world as an actor, primarily doing theater. And then had my first child back in 2012, and everything sort of got very focused for me. And
You're kidding.
It was amazing. One day I'm just me, and then the next.
He's so different from the rest of us. How did that happen?
It was something I didn't experience because my wife was talking about how she sort of became a mom over 9 months, and for me it felt like a sort of instantaneous wake up, and my priorities really shifted. And so now we put our roots down. We were living in New York City at the time. That's where we had my daughter, and we put our roots down in Foxborough and decided we wanted to make this town our home. And when I found out, I had started working at the high school with the theater guild there, and coaching some high school kids, and realized I didn't know the cultural council existed. I got an email from one of the parents saying, could you recommend a student? And I said, well, I'd actually love to be involved in that too, because I want my kids to grow up in a culturally rich town. And I think Foxborough has a unique opportunity where there is plenty of space. There's a lot of public space here. Yes. And I'd love to be a part of, when now we're starting to try to fundraise to produce our own, not produce our own, but be able to have more flexibility with our grants that isn't state money. That's stuff that we've come up with ourselves.
To generate and then turn around and be able to distribute.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly.
And I want my kids to be able to grow up and have that and see theater and art and music and nature and science.
So now that you're here in Foxborough, you and your wife, you have 3 children, I believe?
3 children, yes.
And just experienced your first Founders Day maybe, or a few Founders Day under the belt?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We went to the parade the first year that we lived here. We had a commitment last year, and the weather was bad anyway. But we didn't know that there was a whole field of activities. So we saw the parade, and we went home, and then everyone was like, you missed the best part of Founders Day.
That's right, you absolutely
did. So this year, we were there for a couple hours, and it was incredible. They had so much fun.
And we had another child in the meantime.
I had a third child in the meantime. I think that's why we didn't go last year, because she was like 3 weeks old. So she's just a year old now, but we went there. We had a booth. The Foxborough Cultural Council had a booth there. We were asking people why the arts matter, and had some coloring pages for the kids. Wanted to have the parents there who could dress up and take some selfies together and play some instruments. So.
And even juggle.
Even juggle. We had a juggler.
Yes. Yeah. And his name was Kit.
Well, I saw the booth, and it was and actually that's how I reached out and thought it might be a great idea to have you out here in the program. My wife is also on the Foxborough Cultural Council, so I know that there's a bit of connectivity there. But Pam, tell me about what, I understand there's a survey, or tell me about this whole thing that we're talking about, a survey that you mentioned.
There's a community input survey, and we're required to do it every 3 years, but we thought before the fall grant cycle would be a great time to just really do it annually, so that we can revisit our priorities, especially now that more people know about our organization and participate. So we're pretty excited. Last year we had only a scant, I think, 26 responses, and so far, with just rolling it out on Founders Day, we have about 85.
Really?
And
Fantastic.
We will be putting the surveys, paper copies at Town Hall, at the Boyden Library. We will also have the link on the town website.
So now's a great time to mention that the Foxborough Cultural Council would like you to participate in the survey, and I think you're using paper, or you can also do electronically.
Yes, so there's SurveyMonkey, and there's also paper for friends who are more comfortable with pencil and paper.
Either way works,
fine too.
right?
Yes.
Okay, but everybody loves SurveyMonkey, I guess. If you want to participate, you can either pick one up at the Boyden Library or Town Hall, or you can log on to the Town of Foxborough website and click on the link for the boards and committees on the left-hand side, boards and committees, and you go to the Cultural Council, and there'll be a link directly from there. So a phenomenal way to reach out and find out what the community. So the survey itself is looking more towards.
We're asking people what kinds of arts and sciences they participate in, how often, and then kind of where they'd like to see us fund, for what audiences and for what kinds of programs.
Okay.
Yeah, we really want their input.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think it's really beneficial for us when we're sitting down in December looking at all of the grants, because it allows us to focus on, this is what the community said that they wanted. So if we know everyone's looking for a very rich music program, well, great. We've got three music programs, grant applications.
You know where to focus your attention.
Yeah, the community's saying they want this, so it would be great.
So if this is a state requirement, then is there any way that the survey results or tie into the funding? Is there some way of determining if there's a more robust cultural council? Maybe the funding comes a little more easily, or is that true, or is that just false hope?
I think there's kind of a cap on how much money we can get, but we can raise money. And as far as being able to fund more diverse programming, that really is up to the grant applicants. We need and invite people to apply so that we have lots of options to consider in
So
the
we'll
fall.
talk about that in just a second. I just want to finish up on the SurveyMonkey. If you'd like to participate, you can not only go to their website, to the Town of Foxborough website, and click on the boards and committees link for the Culture Council, but you can also send them an email at foxboroughcc@gmail.com, and you can request the survey, and I'm sure they'll be happy to send it to you, correct?
Absolutely, we
All
can
right.
send them the link.
Now,
Sure.
you also are accessible on Facebook
Yes.
at, I'm going to get this wrong, I wrote it down, Foxborough, spelled the correct way, UGHCC. Foxborough CC on Facebook. You can be a friend, you can follow.
Yep.
Get all the exciting announcements and see what's going on there. You can also be part of the Twitter feed. Twitter feed. Sorry about that, folks. But there's no UGH on that. It's Foxborough Culture. So FOXBOROCULTURE, just as I'm sure you see on your screen here. So you can email them at foxboroughcc@gmail.com or be their friend on Facebook, or you can follow them on Twitter. Now, Pam, I've got a quick question about the 2017 grants. That's all done. Everybody's received their money. A lot of them were recognized. I saw it in the newspaper. Everything's really exciting. So now we're turning our sights on 2018.
Yes, that's right.
Is it too early to talk about 2018?
I don't think so,
All
because
right,
this
let's talk about
this
2018.
is a good time for people to be thinking about artists, people who are interested in doing science and nature programming, to be starting to fine-tune their ideas so that
Okay.
they're ready to apply in the fall. And there's also resources we can refer them to that can help them to prepare an application on the Mass Culture website.
Okay.
mass.culture.org or
Mass-
mass-culture.org.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And so when these applications come in, what's the process? You just randomly pick them out of a hat? Or?
No.
Uh-oh, he's on to us.
I think it's important actually that the community knows what the process is, because there's a group of 12 of us, I believe now.
Yes.
We keep growing, so I don't actually, the number keeps changing monthly.
That's a good
feels
thing, right?
like it's a great thing, yeah. A lot of new energy, and it's really invigorated us. But the group of us, we get the applications from the state. It's an online system, so you apply online.
Okay.
And then they'll send us out an email with all of the grants in it. And we sort of pour over them on our own time, and then get together for one very long day with our score sheets.
With lots
and
of bagels
our rubric,
and-
lots of bagels, baked goods, and carbs. And we talk through, we try to give everyone that applied their due diligence, and really try not to leave any stone unturned. I feel like in at least last year's process, it felt like the one. It's hard to say no.
It is always hard
I
to
wish
say
we could
no.
fund everyone that applies, but the people that we did say no, we really felt like we had given them their best shot from what we had received from them. And
So 16 groups were awarded grants last year. That's pretty significant. So
It is.
congratulations on that.
It is.
And-
And I was just going to say that there are both state and local criteria. So applicants also need to comply with those, and if they haven't, things like they need to have secured a venue, that would help kind of decide as well.
Okay.
Who gets funded and
Well, that's
who
great.
doesn't.
And that's mass-culture.org.
.org.
I'm going to write
That's-
that down, and hopefully you're writing it down at home. Of course, while you're writing things down, write down these important names: Pam Atanasoff and Jared Craig. These are the co-chairs of the Foxborough Cultural Council. Now, 2008 grants are right around the corner, so people should be thinking about, putting their best application pins forward. Do you have to be a
Yes.
professional grant writer, or is this a pretty user-friendly process?
I would say it's become very streamlined and very simple, and they can apply online, as Jared mentioned, through the state, through a website, and then they can even attach some information about their organization to it.
Okay.
So it just is very streamlined and should be very quick. It's more just figuring out what they would like to do as their program.
Do I need to be a nonprofit organization? Do I need to have a 503c, or?
no, absolutely
No.
not. Yeah,
Okay.
and
No.
pretty much anyone. I mean, this year the way it works is you don't get the funds until after you've done your performance, your
Whatever you're doing.
program.
Sure.
Yeah, and so it's the state's way, I think, of sort of checking to make sure that these could happen. And we might be part of a pilot program next year where it's more grant based. So we'd give you the money up front and then make sure that you do it afterwards. And that feels right to me, because as a semi-producer for the High School Theater Guild, it's nice to have that money. We know that the money's coming in, but we can't spend it before we do the show.
Right.
That we've been granted money for. So it's really nice, I think, to be able to get that money up front and say, now we can buy props, costumes, put it into set, because it's we have it already. We're not counting on getting it later and hoping to make it back through ticket
Makes
sales.
sense.
That's hard to do with a small budget.
It is, it
Yeah.
is. And it's all student-run, student-funded,
So
one reason.
actually, that sounds as though it would support individual artists and people who are
Yes,
looking to try something would need that startup funding. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, there's a couple $100, a couple $1,000, whatever you get for your grant. You've now got that, and it's your budget instead
Beautiful.
of being, I'll get it later. I'll max out the credit card. You know.
Well, let's talk about upcoming events. I know that Foxborough is a growing community as far as new families moving in. However, it's been here for an awful long time, and people don't necessarily think of Foxborough when they think of culture and the arts. Go to Boston, go to Providence, but what is it that's going on in Foxborough that gets you to go, what?
Oh, so many things.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'll speak first unless you have something you're dying to say, but I know the music. I knew about the music program at the high school before I even came into town because I was aware of Sam Burns and that wonderful documentary from HBO, and he spoke so highly about it. And so I know Pam was very involved with the music program. I think you might still be. So I feel like that has a great reputation in Foxborough. There is the Bay Colony Productions right across the street from the Orpheum. There are 100 dance studios and music studios in town, and I feel like there is a lot of opportunity, extracurricular opportunity for students and for kids, but I sort of want adults to know that a lot of these are great ventures for them too. I get out of the house on a Friday and a Saturday night and avoid the chaos of Patriot Place and come downtown and find something to do downtown. And it seems like from the few conversations I've had with selectmen that that's their focus too, is that a vibrant downtown. And I sort of feel that. I'll speak for myself. I feel the changing in the winds that things that have popped already here, and it seems like we're about on the cusp of even a larger. Well,
that'd be great.
Change.
And there was a report commissioned by the town, and the consultant said that one of the primary needs of the town was a destination point, and a reason for people to be here, for that growth to occur with the fire station and the former Canadian funeral home. And so perhaps you're right, perhaps there's something in the offing, so it's beautiful.
Feels that way to
And
me.
I just wanted to add Uncommon Theater Company that has several productions going on, a couple a year, right?
Yep, we love having them. Their next one in Foxborough is, I think, going to be in November, maybe.
Yes, and also Foxborough Recreation does some nice things. We partially funded a program in the spring that they did that was science-based during April vacation.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent. That whole partnership thing, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty
very
cool.
much so.
All right. So are there any specific events upcoming that we need to be on the lookout for?
I'm
setting my social calendar, and I've got my pen out. Jared, tell me what it is I'm going to take my family to.
What are you going to take your family to? Well, I think in Foxborough we do have coming up actually the Music in the Park at the Doolittle home was just rescheduled. So be looking for that. When they reschedule it, we'll be putting it up on Facebook and Twitter.
And that's a really cool event because they've got that beautiful veranda out back, and it's a lovely place. They want to publicize it and have people come to visit and use their space. And they're a nonprofit organization, been around since 1912. So what a great partnership and able to partially fund that event. So good.
Absolutely.
And I love that it's multi-generational as well. It's the residents of the Doolittle interacting with the community, and they have a lot.
And that is a different kind of place, and I think they truly do want to have that neighborhood feel. So
another one I'll plug too, because you said you're a political junkie, is at the Boyden Library. There's going to be a series of posters and artistic works that Stephen Lewis has compiled, and so that's going to be in September. It should be the whole month of September. The topic is freedom of the press, which feels so important in these days.
It's even more important now.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I think it'll be nice to see how the community reacts to something like that in light of the political climate of the last year to year and a half.
Okay, excellent.
I think that would be a great destination for school trips as well.
Yeah,
Field trips, and then have a discussion about what they see in those posters.
and how important it is, and whether you agree or disagree, the fact that it's available to us sets us apart from so many other places. So.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right.
There's also going to be a great theater festival, just because I got to get
A theater festival. We love theater
No,
festivals.
it's in Franklin,
Okay.
but it's so close. It's the Whatever Theater Festival.
The Whatever Theater Festival.
Yeah. And
I
they're
like
going to
it.
be doing a 24-hour play, so they're going to like write, produce, direct, act in a play all in 24 hours. So it's unscripted until the day before the event.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
That
So-
sounds challenging and a little frightening.
Yeah, it's a big event in Boston, and so they're a part of it on the Metro West South Shore area here. So it's nice to have them a part of it.
Impressive.
too. Yeah.
Now, what theater group is that being done through?
That's the Whatever Theater Festival, and they are. I know Hallie Wetzel is the one who runs it, and she's in Franklin.
Okay.
And,
So I'm sure if people Google it up, they'll be able to find Whatever Theater in Franklin.
and we'll be putting it
pop right in there.
on our social media as well.
There you go. So on your social media, so if I become a friend of yours on Facebook and Twitter, then this is a way that I can also find out. So you're actually publicizing these events that you fund or
Right.
partially fund.
If I could
Cool.
also mention Nicole Hanlon's program coming up on Veterans Day this fall. She actually does art with veterans as a therapeutic experience for them. And I believe she'll be doing it both on Veterans Day and on New Year's Day, both of which
okay.
can be difficult times for veterans.
Indeed. But how interesting that that's part of your outreach also.
Right, and that's a partnership with Mike Johns and the Veterans Affairs Department locally, which is really nice as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Mike Johns is one of the best ever, so fantastic, and I'm glad you're partnering with him. So I see that we have a lot of interesting things going on, and people, rather than write things down from this program, because I know you're just enjoying listening, you don't want to do your homework and do writing. So what you should do is make sure that you follow the Foxborough Cultural Council on Facebook by going to Foxborough, UGHCC, and be their friend, or you can follow them on Twitter. I have trouble with twittering. They go to Foxborough Culture, and you can be there for now. We do want to leave you with this. There's a homework assignment. Actually, we need you to fill out the survey. The more responses, then that shows more robust cultural council, and that puts them in better standing when it comes to everything they need to do from a government side. So to be a part of that, they need to stop by the Boyden Library or
Yes,
Town Hall.
or Town Hall.
The old
yes.
Town Hall or the new Town Hall?
Well,
Mom
I
doesn't hate
checked
whichever one is
in
open.
today and learned that I can put it at the old Town Hall, and they'll be nice enough to move them when they
They will
move to
move
the
it.
new Town Hall.
So
The
phenomenal.
moving date is still a question
But
mark.
when it happens, it'll go with. So pick up a paper survey, or you can fill out the electronic version via SurveyMonkey, and to do that, you can reach out to them at Foxboro CC, not spelled the UGH way, just FOXBOROCC at gmail.com. I never asked you how you got involved with discretion.
Oh,
in
I
the,
thought I would get
cultural
away
council.
with that.
Oh no, I've got a mind like a trap. Unfortunately, the trap has creaky, rusty springs, but eventually it closes. So, how did you get involved?
Where are we going with this? I actually saw an announcement on Facebook, and that's actually been, I think that's how you recruited a few people, right?
Yeah.
You posted something on Facebook, and I said, sure, I'll do it.
Great.
And at first, I wasn't sure what my role would be, and I wasn't used to being involved in something. I'd done a lot of volunteering over the last 20 years,
Yes.
but hadn't done something that was government-based, so I did have to get used to that little bit of red tape. But I feel like both of us have felt very, very empowered to make this more than the minimum, and to do more with it than the minimum that is asked of us. And what's made that possible is having just the most dynamic people who have all different kinds of experience working with us on the Cultural Council.
Well, I always say Foxborough is built on the back of her volunteers, and government especially, because all the councils, committees, and boards, they're volunteer. And so thanks to you both for all the work you're putting into it. And I think that you're able to see some of the rewards through the different groups and the performances, but also just the added exposure, and people now know the relevancy and the enthusiasm and the vibrancy. And next step is the next step, right? Which would
Yeah.
be more exposure, and SurveyMonkey's returned, and the 2018 grant cycle coming around and having a lot of people apply, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. The
I would-
experience is its own reward.
Absolutely.
And you.
I was going to say we do want to be a resource too. So if people know of something that is happening in town that we didn't necessarily fund, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to promote that as well. Just so that if people are looking for things to do, they know where to go.
So I can drop you a line at foxborocc@gmail.com.
Absolutely, please do.
Fantastic. So we are so out of time. I'm going to give you both the last word, but before we do, I want to remind everybody again to follow them on Facebook or on their Twitter feed. You can email them at foxborocc@gmail.com, or you can go to the town website, and all their information is in there. Also, go to the blue bar on the left under boards and committees and go to Cultural Council. Jared, Craig, and Pam Atanasoff, thank you so much for joining us. Jared, we'll start with you first because you've been in town shorter time than Pam has, and so you're still the rookie.
Thanks. I guess what I'd actually like to say, if it's okay, is just also that they're increasing the funding for the Massachusetts Cultural Council this year.
That's always okay to say.
Thanks. If you want to reach out,
as long as it's true.
It is. Well, it's on the floor right now. So if you're
reach out to your state representative, reach out to your state senator.
Yep, Timothy and Barrows. Reach out to them and let them know that you're looking for the $2 million increase in arts funding.
So if you're a fan of the arts, now's the time to make your voice heard.
Absolutely.
All right.
Right. And my comment would be local, which is it's really exciting to be a part of bringing arts and culture to our community, and we hope people will enjoy what we bring to them and get involved.
And my comment, of course, will be here at Foxborough Cable. We love publicizing and publishing and broadcasting interesting programming, and the culture and the arts are really the bread and butter of what we do. You mentioned music, a huge part of our program here. So if you're a fan of the arts and you're a fan of Foxborough Cable Access, then surely you're a fan of the Foxborough Cultural Council. Please support them by filling out the survey. Reach out to them if you have an event that you know is coming up that you want them to publicize, or perhaps you want to reach out and participate yourself and be a resource to the Cultural Council. Right?
Absolutely.
Sounds
Jared
good.
and Pam, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for taking the time to sit with me and my guests as we talk about all things arts and culture. Of course, this wouldn't have happened without the wonderful work of our leader, Paul Beck, behind the glass, our camera operators, Mike Stewart and Deb Storrs. Betty Travers is on vacation. I'm Bob Hickey, and I thank you for taking the time. Of course, you can check us out at www.fcatv.org for a replay, or you can stop by our studios at 28 Central Street, ask for a DVD copy. Mark Nash and Jessica loves to make them for you. I'm Bob Hickey. Have a great day. Take care, Foxborough.